Sarah, we know that Lamar is one of the most universally respected quarterbacks league-wide, to the point where you have current players that are playing for teams with quarterbacks that are leaving their quarterbacks off their list in favor of Lamar. Now, Micah Parsons and Darius Slay, two of them. And technically, maybe when this was filmed, depending on the date of it, Darius was still an Eagle, working with Jalen Hurts, of course, just on different sides of the ball.
Might have been
Micah,
released at this point. He wasn't.
okay.
He wasn't a Steeler yet, as we know. He was just announced being signed by the Steelers, a 1-year, fully guaranteed $10 million deal with the Steelers. So he may have been released, but I'm not sure when he recorded it.
Yeah. Point is, he worked a lot with Jalen Hurts. Micah, of course, is a teammate of Dak Prescott's, but both of these guys, you found that their opinions have been made very clear in terms of how they view Lamar Jackson.
Well, this is exactly why. I mean, we see front office and media people and how they talk and feel about Lamar versus players. Sometimes it just feels like there's a massive gulf between the two. Just a massive gulf. So the same ML football tweet that account that I just talked about, put out a clip from Darius Slay on this podcast. And he does not have Jalen Hurts as one of the league's elite top quarterbacks. He only has 4. He has Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. That's it. No, and Hurts just won a Super Bowl with Darius Slay. So what's his reasoning for this? Here we go.
The elite go to the top 4 guys. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do elites. And like elite for me in the quarterback world is Joe Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen. Them are the elites. They got their own, you know what I'm saying? They their own tier, you know, but in that receiver world,
it's Jettas, Jamar, AJ, CD, or Tyreek.
You can say Tyreek. Or you could, or you know what I'm saying? Or you could whoever you played, you know what I'm saying? But the 4 is elite. Them 2.
I love the division. I love that. You know, my co-hosts, they've been a little disrespectful to this player because of the numbers. But Terry McLaurin, this year was his breakout season.
All right, so they're going into wide receivers here now. But those are his elite top quarterbacks, and StreamYard's doing it again, bringing in the wrong thing. But yeah, and Bobby, he's right. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you want a quarterback that is when you're ranking the quarterbacks, it can't be solely who has what rings, which is what he's getting at here. So a lot of people will put Jalen Hurts in that top elite tier. And by the way, there's movement within this tier, right? Patrick Mahomes is the best because he plays well throughout the year. He plays throughout the postseason, and he has all those Super Bowl rings, and he's the straw that stirs the drink. Jalen Hurts has the Super Bowl ring, and he's elite in terms of athletes in the world. He's been more successful at being a quarterback than any of us probably here talking or listening will ever be as good at what we do as what he does in his profession. So he's phenomenal. But then if you're trying to like break it down even more, then Darius Slay is right. Jalen Hurts isn't in there. And what's funny, Bobby, is Micah Parsons understands the heat that Darius Slay was getting because he quote retweeted this. He says, OMG, don't let Eagles fans see this. And he says that because he's been through this himself on his own podcast during the season. He talked about the top 5 quarterbacks. Again, had Lamar Jackson in the top 5. Did not put his own quarterback in Dak Prescott. And I think that they're right, Bobby. I think that they're right. What say you?
I would agree. I like Darius's top 4. You know,
Yeah.
I think that I would find it hard to believe that if that's not like universally recognized. Now, on the outskirts of those, I was just thinking to myself as you laid all this out, I'm like, okay, who's just on the outskirts of those top four?
Mhm.
Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, and Burrow. Who's just on the outskirts? And in my head, I'm like, you know who's flirting with that top four, especially if he follows up his rookie year? Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is probably knocking on the door based on what he put on tape his rookie season. I would also say I'm a big Stafford guy. I like Matthew Stafford a lot. I think he is maybe is he top? I would put him right around top 5, honestly, for my money. And then Jalen Hurts. Like, it's those three guys for me are knocking on the door, or at least just outside the door. It's Jaden Daniels, Stafford, and Hurts in no particular order for me.
Yeah. Somebody that always gets talked about is Justin Herbert. I can't do it. I feel like he's a little too overrated. I'm with you on Stafford. Jordan Love. I'm looking through a list. No, Geno Smith, Dak. I mean, I would put Dak below the guys you talked about. CJ Stroud was on his way to doing that, but then he had was last year?
He had
last year's sophomore
slump.
year. He had a sophomore slump. So we'll have to see what happens with Jaden Daniels. I don't predict a sophomore slump. And you think about all the where do you put Jared Goff?
Goff top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude, he's a gunslinger, man. Jared Goff had a heck of a year last year. And it was just overshadowed because of Lamar and Josh.
Right.
You know? So
Jalen Hurts, I'll put top 10 too. Like maybe even top.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like he's right outside of it. He's not far off.
Definitely.
Like maybe top 8 or 9, maybe.
Here's the thing I got to add on about Stafford because I'm catching some flack. Guys, he just got Devontae Adams. Look out. You got Devontae and Puka on the same team. And guess what? Puka just gave up. Did you see this? Your boy Puka just gave up his jersey
yeah,
number
I did see
for Devontae,
this.
which is classy.
He went back to his BYU number. I'm here for that.
Very classy. So look out. Look
and
out.
By the
look
way,
out for the Rams, man, in the NFC. We're not going to see him. Ravens aren't going to see him. I don't believe they're on their schedule. But look out for the Rams.
Yeah. One last thing I'll say about this. I think that he's got the right top 4 in terms of elites. By the way, look at all these headlines. Ex-Steeler star Darius Slay catching heat for quarterback comment.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Look at all these headlines. Teammate leaves Eagles $255 million Super Bowl MVP off list of elite NFL quarterbacks.
Just for being honest.
He was released. Released to Eagles CB. Darius Slay snubs $255 million star from his list. Darius Slay takes subtle shot at Jalen Hurts.
Man.
Then a few people calling out sensitive Eagles fans.
Look at that. Just for one little podcast comment about rankings and being
yeah, but I gotta say, okay, with Darius, because he was released, you can give a pass. But I gotta say, if you're on his team, I don't want you acting like an analyst, right? Like, I remember back in the day, and I don't know if you were covering the Ravens yet, but the big debate about Joe Flacco all the time was: is Joe Flacco elite? Is he elite? Is he elite? And most people would say no, but he was in the Jalen Hurts kind of the situation that Jalen Hurts is in right now. Joe Flacco went on to a historic run in the playoffs, but it was like he couldn't carry the team once they paid him. And once, some of the defenders had left and they traded away Anquan Bolden and all that, he couldn't carry the team the way Lamar Jackson carries a team, or the way that Patrick Mahomes carries a team, or the way that Josh Allen and Joe Burrow can do, although Joe Burrow isn't carrying it enough because they didn't make the playoffs. And so that was always like the question: is Joe Flacco elite? Terrell Suggs went on ESPN's, what did they used to call it when it was Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless? Undisputed, something like that.
That's Fox.
I can't remember the show that they were on together. But Terrell Suggs went in as a guest and went to bat for Joe Flacco. Even if Joe Flacco wasn't truly elite, I don't know that I would put him in the elite back then. I can't remember who was in the running. There was Tom Brady. There was Peyton Manning, all those types of guys. And I remember Skip Bayless being like to Terrell Suggs' face, I don't believe you. I think you guys in the locker room actually question Joe Flacco. And Terrell Suggs went back in his face. And I mean, they're going back and forth. And Suggs came with passion. And that's what you do for your quarterback when you're on the team. So Darius Slay, he was off the team. Micah Parsons, not so much. Like, I want to hear you going to bat for your QB. You know what I mean? So I feel like when you're a player on a team and you have a podcast, you can't act like a media person on ESPN or what we do. You're his teammate, bro. Like, go to bat for your guy.
It's hard to go to bat for Dak, though, Sarah. That's the problem. Like, you're going to be – I get it. The loyalty thing, the loyalty component is a big deal within the locker room.
Yeah.
But Mike is also, like, in his mind, he's probably thinking it'd be sure of a heck of a lot easier to go to bat for Jalen Hurts the last few weeks than it is for Dak Prescott to be considered in the top 4. So, like, it's weird. And this is the problem with in-season podcasts, right? Because you want to be transparent. You want to be honest. You want to put on your analyst hat. But I'm sorry, nobody with a straight face can tell either one of us that Dak Prescott's top 4.
I hear what you're saying. In his case, he did the top 5. And I do remember him saying, like, I'm talking about right now. So if you're going to do that, just be effusive about it and be like, listen, I can't pick Dak because he's injured.
Sure.
And make it extremely clear. I'm talking about guys playing right now. My quarterback is injured, and he did later clarify it as such. But even still, my preferred method is what Terrell Suggs did.
2 other clarifications. Rams are on the Ravens' home schedule for 2025, so the Ravens will get a good chance to see Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and the rest of the LA roster. And I believe, based on the chat, it was Undisputed that you were referring to, but that was on Fox in terms of the debate show.
Yeah, but I was right?
Right, but I think you had said ESPN.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it just tripped me
up.
I
had the show. Anyway. I had the show correct, but the channel incorrect. Okay, gotcha.
And for me, the broadcast nerd, I'm like, oh, as soon as I hear ESPN, I'm like, oh, I got it. First take.
Yeah.
So anyway, appreciate you guys for being with us on this Thursday. Let's get to some quick hits and what's going on in the AFC North at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson, Sarah, is scheduled to fly yesterday, as he did, to Cleveland to visit with the Browns on Thursday, today, before being scheduled to fly to New York tonight to visit Friday, tomorrow, with the Giants.
I'm so lost. Okay, so yesterday he went to the Browns, and today he's going to the Giants.
Well, no, he's as we speak, he's visiting with Cleveland.
He's there right now. Okay.
Tomorrow,
okay.
He's just the way Schefter phrased this. I didn't make it any easier to consume, but. So today's with the Browns, tomorrow he's with the Giants.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's tough when we're reading like a tweet from yesterday and trying to translate it to today for sure.
So, in other words, seems to me like Pittsburgh's kind of waiting around for A-Rod to make a decision. That's what it feels when you read the tea leaves.
Oh, for sure they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are clearly choosing Aaron Rodgers over. Now, what's funny is the Giants are also waiting. But the Giants, where do they pick in the draft? Where are they at?
Giants are top 10. I'll get the exact number.
Okay. Yeah, get the exact number. Because with the Giants, they might be able to afford to wait if they're planning on getting a quarterback no matter what.
And they have number 3 overall.
Okay. So their plan may be we can wait for Russ. We can wait, or Aaron, we can wait for whoever it is. Because we're gonna go with a quarterback top 3. Whereas the Steelers picking in the mid-20s, they don't have that luxury.
Nope.
And so if they're going to be waiting, and listen, Chris Canty, everybody's been like, oh, the decision should come down any moment from Aaron Rodgers, right? But then Chris Canty on his show said, I don't know. He's like, Aaron Rodgers could just wait to the draft because maybe that's what Minnesota's waiting to do, to figure out who they want to bring in as their backup for JJ McCarthy. And so who knows how long this will take. But what if the Steelers end up losing both? What if they lose both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson?
They'll have Mason Rudolph.
back to Rudolph, back to where they already were.
As we hinted off the top, they do have a quarterback that's finally in the room under contract, Sarah, for the next 2 years, and that is their former backup. He did start some games for them as well. I know the Ravens have played against him, but it's a 2-year, $8 million deal with $4.5 million to return to Pittsburgh, according to Garofalo and Rappaport. So he is heading out of Tennessee back to Pittsburgh. So yeah, here's the thing though about that conversation we were just having. If you're New York and Cleveland, who go back to back to start the draft, right? Cleveland's 2, New York is 3. If they aren't in love with one of the top 2 quarterbacks, Ward or Sanders, and they're looking at the 26 class, Sarah, who's to say they don't skip and go after like an Abdul Carter, assuming he doesn't go to Tennessee off the top, one of the top players in the draft, go chase after a Kirk Cousins or another one of these bridge quarterbacks and just say, hey, we're going to give it our best shot in 25, but we're planning for 26. Would not surprise me.